Good evening, everybody, or perhaps I should say good morning. Welcome to a special election night webcast brought to you by the Daily Journal and djournal.com. I'm Brad Locke along with Chris Kiefer here immediately to my left, William Moore over there, and joining us from Jackson via satellite or whatever you want to call it, Bobby Harrison, Capitol Bureau Chief. I guess it's not via satellite, Bobby. How you doing?
It's magic. I'm good.
Magic. Well, Bobby, we've got three races in particular to talk about. Let's start with the big one nationwide, the presidential race. As we're speaking, it hasn't been called yet. Donald Trump is leading, a possible upset in the making. First, Bobby, I know you like to follow these things really closely. Have you been surprised by some of the states that Trump has pulled out tonight?
Yeah, the polls are just, I mean, apparently are just way off. It's it's a major upset. I mean, for our time, but Dewey human proportions upset, I guess. I mean, it's pretty incredible. We knew he was going to win Mississippi, but the states he's contesting right now, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. If he wins those states, any two of those, he's going to be our next president.
And obviously, a new president going to impact Mississippi. Now, we knew we knew coming in that Trump was going to win Mississippi, but it could have an even deeper impact, Bobby, because there's now the story out there that Phil Bryant could end up becoming part of the Trump administration if Trump holds on to win. What's the latest we have on that?
Well, that's been a rumor. There's a lot of Republicans, traditional Republicans, have kind of run away from Donald Trump. Bill Bryant hasn't. He's been, going across the nation campaigning for him. Has been a huge supporter, and there's been talk about him having even a cabinet position. Secretary of Agriculture is the one that is most talked about. So that would be he would be the second Mississippian to have that position in recent times. Ironically, in the first president, Bill Clinton administration, Mike Espy, a congressman from the 4th congressional district in Mississippi, was a Secretary of Agriculture. So I mean, it's a long way to go, but there's that Bill Bryant has been talked about for that position, in a Donald Trump administration.
But Bobby, what would happen then? I mean, I'm sure obviously the next gubernatorial election is until 2019. I'm sure there'd be a special election, but I would imagine that you'd be looking at some lag time. Would they appoint an interim, and who makes that appointment?
Well, now I've been reading the Constitution tonight, Chris, and and as I understand it, I think I'm right about this. There would be no special election. The Lieutenant Governor, Tate Reeves, would step into the position of governor. I'm pretty sure about that, and serve as governor for the next for the remainder of this term. Yes, and this would be kind of key as far as when the appointment was made, because as I understand it, if this did occur and Tate Reeves became governor, if he was governor for more than half of this term, then he would not be able to serve one more term as governor. So and the Senate President Pro Tem would, I guess, I mean, I'm not quite as sure about this, but I think that, I mean, there's even a thought, I mean, it's never happened, but there's a thought in some quarters that the governor, Tate Reeves, if the case would be, he would get to appoint a lieutenant governor. But I believe what would happen is this: the president, the pro tem of the Senate would serve as the duties of the lieutenant governor for the rest of his term, and that's Terry Burton from a Republican from Newton, if that did come to fruition. So this would be sort of uncharted water for Mississippi. So it would be interesting if this did occur.
It would also be interesting, and I guess, I know we're talking a lot about that, but in some ways on the state level, we're talking about the presidential election, and it's been a surprise, but we'll get into some of the local elections, but that may be the biggest story of the night on the state level, if that were to happen. Looking ahead, I mean, we've talked a lot going forward, Bobby, about the possibility of a Tate Reeves and Jim Hood election in 2019. I mean, obviously, if this scenario were to play out, then all of a sudden Tate Reeves would have incumbency on his side and everything else. I mean, there's a lot of political dominoes that could
that's right,
fall if this were to happen, right?
And I've been maintaining that Tate Reeves. I mean, the Republican Party is so strong in this state that I've just been convinced that Tate Reeves wouldn't have a cakewalk through the primary, that he would have a strong primary opponent before he even got to Jim Hood. Jim Hood is a Democratic Attorney General, and the only statewide elected Democrat in Mississippi, and is a very popular politician. So the thought was Jim Hood Tate Reeves contest would be competitive. And of course, as you said, if Tate Reeves was the incumbent, that probably, I mean, the conventional wisdom is that'd give him a leg up, and it'd probably also prevent another Republican from running against him in the primary. So this has, as you said, this could have big ramifications in state politics for the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, we're speculating now. I mean, first of all, Trump hadn't officially won yet, though he looks, I mean, he's real close. And then, you know, it's a speculation that he would position, and whether he would actually take it. I suspect he would if it was offered to him.
All right, let's talk a little bit now about one of the state Supreme Court races. I had a few around the state. One up here in the northern region had 4 candidates running, and we're going to have a runoff. We're going to have a runoff. William Moore covering this particular election for us, and it's going to be Bobby Chamberlain against John Brady in the runoff, November 29th. And as we're talking, pretty much all the precincts reporting, and it's neck and neck with those two, and it's going to be so it's obviously going to be a runoff.
It's going to be a runoff between those two. Brady led most of the night, but as more of the precincts came in the northwestern portion of the state, where Chamberlain is a sitting circuit judge, he started picking up speed, and with 99% reporting, you know, Bobby Chamberlain has taken a lead.
Yeah, and
he's got 330 votes.
Yeah,
in the lead, but I mean, the two of them are still actually no, it's 3,000 votes.
Yeah,
he has taken a substantial lead. But those two, you know, pulled away from James Kitchen and Steve Crampton.
Yeah.
So
and Kitchen's like Chamberlain are already a judge.
He's a sitting judge, a circuit judge down in the Octavia Hall, Lowndes County area.
Chamberlain is.
No,
Kitchen's sorry. Chamberlain, you mentioned.
Chamberlain's up around DeSoto County.
Right. And then Brady, along with Crampton, are both attorneys. So now you've got an attorney versus a judge. And so, you know, you don't know how it's going to pan out, especially since it was a tight result.
It was a tight race. I mean, and one thing, you know, this is Brady's first election, first political venture ever. You know, he pointed out, you know, that he was the first to qualify and didn't know when he qualified that he'd be running against 2 sitting judges.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, he fared well tonight. I mean, had a good showing.
Yeah. So 3 weeks till the runoff, November 29th, between John Brady and Bobby Chamberlain. And it had some other judge races, judicial races around the state. Chris, what do we got here? We got the winners there, don't we?
Yeah, the other Jim Kitchens.
There's 2.
One District 1. There was a possibility a lot of people were, I don't know, you say anticipating or fearing that you could have 2 Jim Kitchens on the state Supreme Court.
Makes it tough for reporters like Bobby.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly, William, you were saying earlier that, I mean, generally they just use the justice's last name when they talk about opinions and
over decisions and stuff. Normally just has last name.
So that could have been interesting. But anyway, he did win. He was the incumbent in District 1 and was declared the winner with 54% of the vote. District 2, incumbent Don Beam was declared the winner with 67% of the vote over Michael Sharif. Going back to District 1, Jim Kitchens over Kenny Griffiths. We mentioned, of course, the District 3 position 1 was a local race, and then there was another District 3, which is our district, the Northern District, but it was uncontested with Jimmy Maxwell winning.
All right.
Before we move on, Bobby, while we've got you, talking about the different candidates. I know you've talked before. You've had some experience. You've covered, I guess, Bobby Chamberlain when he was a state legislator. Is that correct?
That's right. He was a Republican state senator from DeSoto County. He was appointed to the circuit court bench by Haley Barbour, and then I won at least one election, maybe 2 elections, and was well thought of in the Senate. I'm not familiar with his opponent, but he apparently ran a good race. And down here in the Central District, just, I mean, that was Jim Kitchens, who was a incumbent member of the Supreme Court, was challenged by Kenny Griffiths, who was a incumbent on the Court of Appeal. So that was a hotly contested race in this area of the state, and the Republican Party actually endorsed Griffiths. So that was a big win for Kitchens.
All right, let's look at another race of note here. First Congressional District, and not a surprise, we expected this. Trent Kelly, who won the special election to replace the late Alan Nunley, will now serve a full term after winning tonight with more than 2/3 of the vote. And it was actually called, the AP called it with like 2% of precincts reporting. Probably could have called it sooner than that. Jacob Owens,
I called it yesterday.
His main competition, Jacob Owens, I don't think he even spent any money campaigning. It was all social media. So I don't know what you can say about this, Bobby, other than we expected this to happen. So now you got Trent Kelly will serve a full term. Yeah,
Trent Kelly, I think can be in that office about as long as he wants to. He ran a good race against I don't remember how many opponents. I mean, more than 10.
I think it was 4 total. Well, yeah, back then, yeah.
In the special election to win that, and then all 4, as you were about to say, I think, Brad, all 4 incumbent U.S. House members from Mississippi won re-election tonight, I believe, by comfortable margins.
Correct.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. The other one's Benny Thompson,
Greg
Harper, and Steve Palazzo, right?
That's right. Palazzo's down on the coast. Thompson's over in the Delta, and
Greg Harper.
My congressman and Greg Harper is here in the central part of the state.
I was just going to mention too, going back to Trent Kelly, of course, Caleb Badillion, our local government reporter, covered that election, and I thought it was a little bit just kind of looking at some of the comments. Of course, you'll be able to read that story. I guess it's up now at djournal.com, and it'll be in tomorrow's paper. Yep. But Kelly talked about as he starts, I guess this is his first full term, after a special election, but his goals are to continue fighting for agriculture and small business, keep an eye on having a strong defense. One of the things that I guess stood out to me is, committees. He's been on the agriculture and small business committees. He says he wants to remain on agriculture, but he's hoping for an appointment to the Armed Services Committee. So keep an eye on that. But, that could be something to look to, I guess, for his upcoming term.
And the Republicans.
Was that it? I think that's it, Bobby. I think we're good to go now. Presidential election still up for grabs as we're speaking. Technically, again, we'll have the runoff with the local state Supreme Court race. Trent Kelly cruises to victory as expected. And you find all the results at djournal.com. We got the political dashboard there you got the maps, you got the by county results, you just got the list of results. I mean, there's a variety of ways to examine and analyze the results. Really, really cool setup we've got there at djournal.com. So check it out. And we'll have more about the election stuff on the Memo podcast on Wednesday, which is actually it's now Wednesday. Congratulations. We made it through Election Tuesday.
We're now on Election Wednesday.
We're now into Election Wednesday. But anyway, the Memo, that'll drop Wednesday afternoon at memo.djournal.com. You can find it also in iTunes or any of your podcast apps. It's a free listen, so give us a look there on the Memo. All right, guys, that's it. Appreciate y'all providing your insight and commentary. Thanks to everybody for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.